Hello, everybody. This is the Advent Pod SA, a timely voice, and you know it. This is Kahano, Kahi by Nature _international, and I'm here today with one of my team members, actually. We hardly get to talk amongst ourselves, and she is a very lovely lady who helps us at the Advent Pod with the background stuff. She's not usually on camera, but we're really glad to have you. Babi, how are you?
I'm okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Babalo Mihlali Dibakwani, and I guess I'm the background lady for this beautiful podcast.
Lovely. And today we're in an amazing space. You can see the setting is different, the background is different, and we're just so grateful to be here. We are supported by Mthondo Wethusi Media, and they have been so gracious to have us debut their new studio. Can you believe it? And we're just going to now have a conversation amongst ourselves about something actually very interesting that not a lot of people talk about. And we're going to quiz each other about this topic. We're not experts at it, but it's going to be fun. Yeah. All right. So she's a person, if you didn't know, that is or has been involved in student politics to some degree, to some level, shape, or form. So our conversation today is going to be based around the tension that exists between the church and student politics, right? And how the church has either tried to address the matters that students face in this area, or how they've been silent and mostly, not very participatory in this event. I want to then find out your thoughts. When you talk about student politics, what is the first thing on your mind?
Yeah. So student politics, to me, basically, or particularly, maybe one of the reasons I would be participating in that is because the honest truth is student politics advance the needs of students in higher institutions of learning. And that's what it is. I mean, unfortunately, how you advance those needs is through, unfortunately, we exist in a political space as a country. Yeah. And for you to get through to management and all of that, you sort of need to speak the language they speak. Okay. And that means having to be technical about stuff, having to be a diplomat, having to negotiate, having to find yourself in situations where you are pulling a protest to be heard. And I think as a Black person, this is deeply rooted also because I am I'm a beneficiary, I guess, of a system that is very it's very unequal towards me as a Black child. Sure. And there's sort of a systematic history of exclusion. And it gets deeper in institutions of higher learning. Yeah. So student politics at the core and at the heart is advocating for student needs and ensuring that we all get out of these institutions. Firstly, we all get in, and eventually we all get out with the degrees, no debt, and we just have a prospering life.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So as a person of faith, right? Yeah. Where does your interest begin in saying, look, maybe I'm passionate about this, I want to do it? Talk to us about a little bit of your journey in it.
Yeah. All right. So I grew up Adventist, and I think, how did I think I am passionate about politics was, in high school or in primary when you just talk a lot and teachers keep on saying, hey, Madam Speaker, you advocate for everyone. Hey, I didn't ask you, Yes. And I think for me then, that struck a desire or a passion to say, I want to genuinely represent people. And someone would say you represent people by being a lawyer and all of that. Sure. But I think before you even qualify, there's a representation that needs to happen. And that's in student politics or in politics in general. Sure. And the honest truth is not all of us are going to be legal people. And also not all of us are going to sort of be smart enough to qualify to be legal people or advocates in those spaces, but also being Adventist and having learned that the core mission of the church is to evangelize. My other approach of being a person of faith is that we should actually go out because in these problems that students face and all of that, we should be spearheading those issues, particularly because we have the resources as a church. And why are we not even helping our own? Because as a Stasmite, we are going through it with academic issues. Yes. The church will be very much willing to fund a program, but they will not be assisting a student with their registration. Sure. Then it makes me question to what extent is our faith? Are we just playing Jesus in church, or we are actually for the people, because God calls us to service.
Indeed.
And in service, that means advancing the needs of the people.
Yes.
Also, God is a just God.
Yes.
So we should, if we are replicating his persona or the person he is and trying to strive daily, we should speak for the fatherless, we should speak for the widowed, and we should speak for the struggling.
Sure.
He says it's in scripture.
Yeah.
So how are we speaking about it when we are genuinely just sitting down and having inside programs and singing praises, and that's where it ends? Sabbath in, Sabbath out, and that's where it ends.
Interesting. As you're speaking, you're reminding me of a certain verse that we used to sing in my younger days. It's Micah 6 verse 8.
Yeah.
It says, "He has shown thee, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you?
Yeah.
But to do justice and to love mercy
Yes.
and to walk humbly with your God." And in kind of that poem, the idea is God is not opposed to us seeking, justice for people, seeking to love mercy and to show it in what we do. Okay, so how does it actually work then? Right? Because there is some sort of a tension. I'm sure you must have felt it.
Yeah.
When have you felt it and why? What kind of questions are you asked in the space that you're an Adventist and yet you're also in student politics in a way?
Yeah, I think, when did I feel the tension? I think particularly with the universities, when people actually realized I'm actually an active member and I'm not just
playing around.
Yeah. I think that's when I was met with questions like, how do you actually do it? Being Christian in the space, and there's sort of a stigma around, or a bias towards the political space.
Sure.
And there is a way of dealing with it. I encountered an older Stasmite on one of the AGMs, and I was departing to attend an SRC induction training situation on a Sunday.
Nice.
Around 12. And then he asked me, am I going to study? I'm like, no, I'm going to an SRC session. And he said, please be careful of the space. And I'm like, have you been in the space to tell me to be careful? Do you know what happens? Or it's just what the media feeds you to think of, And personally, I don't want to say in the political space, there's not much of a tension, because when you look at the space, it's made up of believers and it's made up of non-believers.
Yeah.
And the only thing that brings us together is the common will to fight for God's people, in all honesty. And how I then navigated is that they know in the political space that my Sabbaths are off limits.
Good.
She will not be around. And even if I'm choosing to sleep in, I will not break the Sabbath by coming to hang out with you.
Sure.
And I think that's where it starts. I think maybe the biggest tension is because people don't trust themselves enough to be strong in their faith in different spaces.
Sure.
So the reason they probably are so consumed with self in the Adventist church and wanting to be a small community and not wanting people to be a part of it in the sense that influence and all of that, it's because they're scared of the realities they would face as soon as they leave.
Sure.
And I think it's that whole idea of not being of the world, but you live in the world, so you must live in it and not be of it.
Yeah.
So it's a really serious tension, because even when people think politics, they think corruption, they think money stealing, they think. But with student politics, it's quite different.
It is.
For example, with the University of the Witwatersrand, there is no way you're going to steal money as an SRC member. Money is, even for us as a STASM, it's tight.
Yeah.
It's this entire system. Money is not physical. It's IR, it's forms, it's everything.
Yeah.
So then how do you then find yourself in a situation where you are told to be careful of the space?
Sure.
Are you, in what way? I didn't want to engage it further because I'm not trying to
Stir
have
up
you
trouble
convince
now.
me why I shouldn't be in the space. Because I know, personally, I think also God has deployed me there.
Yes.
And my other take is always the idea that, what do you mean we should go out if you don't want to go out? I can tell you there's a few people in the space that even when I maybe would choose to disrespect the Sabbath, they would remind me, hey, Sabbath apela.
Oh.
She's not coming.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And it gets to a point where you actually realize that me and my lifestyle, which is the biggest sermon of our lives, is what is actually selling. It's easier now to even say, oh guys, don't you want to come with me to church? Sabbath opening maybe. They will come because they've accepted me and then they understand that this is a thing that I believe in.
Sure.
And I think to a greater extent, the political space is quite, it's a microscopic of the Constitution in terms of rights and right to practice whatever you practice. Because we're very accommodating and understanding of everyone in the space. If you're ancestral, we take it. We will have conversations around that.
Okay.
And I think it goes back to my point of saying, I think my Adventist people are genuinely scared of being confronted by the realities of what they believe in if they actually don't believe it. And they're just practicing what has been done in the family or what everyone does, what they think is cool. This is all I know type of a mentality. To an extent that they struggle to even have friends outside of the church.
Yeah.
And we honestly exist in a political space.
Indeed.
The conversations you guys people have with their friends are political in nature. If we are going to talk about the death of the minister, for example, that's a political dynamic. You would need to understand what would have probably happened prior to that.
Indeed.
But you don't find our young people in the church talking about that. And it's very concerning. So there has been a tension, especially when you say, the tension is more on how people respond compared to, and they don't even tell you. You hear it from the grapevine that, hey, someone said something that, hey, she's campaigning in the church.
Okay.
Or she's very political. Or you don't show up to an event and they assume that's where you went. You don't show up on Sabbath and it's an assumption, and they see your comrades on campus. And they're like, oh yeah, she's probably there. But no, I'm probably in my bed sleeping, for all there is. I'm sitting with you guys. And they make you feel like you shouldn't be sitting here. Because you've sort of chosen politics, so you should be there,
As if politics is a different religion.
Yeah. And I think it gets even cheekier after Sabbath because my Adventist people love each other so much that even after Sabbath they hang out with each other. And the minute, I think also, let me just be simple about this whole thing. The tension is around the fact that you're not doing what everyone is doing.
Indeed.
It's not deep like that. It's a thing of, no, but we're going that way. Why are you going that way alone? And you are okay with going that way.
Sure.
So it's my honest opinion. People actually want to go do things and they should go do them.
Yeah.
Because sitting down and saying, no. My other, actually, sorry, my thoughts are just all over.
Yeah.
But my other motivating factor was the fact that if no one of us here stands up, who must?
Sure.
Even with students generally, if we call a protest and you don't show up, who am I fighting for actually in this situation?
Engage you on that one about protest, and I think that's where most of the contention is, right? Is to say, if a student political organization is to set up a protest to address issues of, for example, student accommodation, should the church show up, and in what way? I wanna see what your thoughts are around that, and then also I'll give you the thoughts that have been around
that you've been
about
around.
those. Yes.
In student politics specifically, and it's something I've said at STASM before.
Sure.
Protest is not an abrupt decision. This is normally after the organizations have tried to engage the university to say, look, we are facing this situation, right? And we understand that initially in South Africa, even how we sort of got to where we are, there's been a lot of protest. 1976 happened, there was protest. And protest is not necessarily violence. It's just a demonstration of willing to, I guess, die for what you believe in or what you're striving for.
Sure.
And if we are willing to die for God to some extent, we should be willing to die for his people. Because he died for his people also. Indeed. And if that's a character we want to inherit of Christ, we should be willing to sacrifice self. And that means risking my degree by going to a protest. Okay. And student organizations, particularly like STASM, should participate in those protests because they are not foreign from those issues. We pray every year in February that people come back, register, and all of that. So also there's this idea that miracles are magic.
Hey.
And it's deeply concerning that you think God doesn't orchestrate events to ensure that people register.
Indeed.
So show up and support. And maybe then we can excuse you to say, if you feel like then it's becoming too dangerous,
sure,
you can then leave. Maybe you're worried about your safety. It shouldn't be I don't think it should be a fundamental belief issue or a biblical perspective because of the nature of Christ. Christ is a justice-seeking Christ.
I mean, he came to protest.
He came to
basically.
protest
Yeah.
to say, no, this can't go on with my people. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'll be the sacrificial lamb. And that's what comrades are, actually. Student comrades are. They are sacrificial lambs to the institution.
Yeah.
They risk their degrees. So the least you can do as a student generally and as a Christian is to come support the movement for fighting for the people of God.
And obviously the pushback would be that in some of these protests there would be some rogue elements. Which it's unfortunate because those rogue elements possibly don't represent the organizations that started the movement. And obviously then things escalate into violence and things that we don't want to see. 2015 was not a good example of how a protest should be done correctly, where things got out of hand. So what do you then say to those who say, I'm not doing it because there's too much, rogue elements involved?
Then who must do it for you? Who must, it's an honest opinion. It's an honest question. Who must go out there for you?
Yeah.
Because after all, we are fighting for individuals. It sounds like it's a collective, but it's actually individuals. It's individual dreams.
Yeah.
It's individual generational breakthroughs. You know where you come from. You know the struggles you're facing at home. And if you're not willing to fight for that, then who should sacrifice for you?
Sure.
So I think that would be the question. That if you feel like it's a scary space, I'm risking my life, then who should risk their life for you? Because that's, after all, we are fighting for you. When you think about it, people that are actually in student leadership, by the time they protest, have probably been registered. Or they're standing in solidarity with students to say, I can register, but I'm not going to register because my fellow students are not registered.
Sure.
So you should be part of the people. If you don't do it, who's going to do it for you?
Interesting take. So then tell us, what are the main issues for people who don't know what issues we face here in this country around student politics? What are the main issues you've dealt with and maybe were personally inclined to in this entire journey?
Okay. I think the three biggest issues that students face in South Africa, generally all over, and every university has the same problem, even colleges actually.
Yes.
Issues of funding, registration, funding throughout the degree, annually, and so forth. There's also issues of accommodation. The rates are wild; they're crazy. You stay in a matchbox, and it's 70K a year, and the honest truth is, it's very wild. And there's also issues of academic exclusion in different institutions. So those three are at the core of what we advocate for as students.
Okay.
And what we are basically saying is, post-apartheid democracy and all of that, access should be equal. And the goal eventually is to equate, right? And unfortunately, yes, the government has been doing some work to have policies to equate and so forth, to sort of bridge the gap, to bring the disadvantage a bit up so that we are sort of on the same level.
Yes.
But we can't ignore that there's a systematic system that controls. It's at the core of every institution. Yeah. Controls and perpetuates exclusion. If you're doing well academically, and for example, your parents are in the missing middle, so they earn just over 600K, but it's not enough because there's everyone. You have siblings, there's everyone in the family that needs to be fed. They can't afford your tuition, right? But then you're also not classified as poor. Yeah. So you're academically deserving, but you can't afford the fees. Yes. And additionally to that, because you can't afford the fees, you probably stay at home. That means now you're at the cost of two issues. You can't come back to the university because you can't afford it. And you can't stay at res because you also can't afford it. But you're academically deserving. That's scenario one. There are students that have the funding, that have the academics, but accommodation is too little or too expensive.
Yeah, it's a nightmare because the accommodation we have is not enough
for every
students.
So you can imagine that then it's an issue of accommodation. And then there's issues of being financially well, having a place to stay, probably staying in an apartment, but you're just not academically, you're doing well because you got into the university. Yes. But the question then becomes, there's things that happen in your journey that could temper with your prosperity in the academic space. Okay. So probably issues like a death of a loved one and so forth. You get excluded at the end of the year. Yeah. So you can imagine in January, there's 3 cases of students that need to be dealt with. There's accommodation. People don't have accommodation. There's financial exclusion. If you owe more than a certain amount, you can't come back.
Yeah.
And there's also issues of academics. Everything is paid up, but I just failed 2 modules.
Yes.
And I'm then excluded. And I think my biggest problem with academic exclusion is the fact that the university is losing nothing. It's not an issue of money.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you not let a student come back? Because it's taking from them. It's their finances. Why are you so concerned? Then it's a system issue.
Indeed.
They're trying to make sure that not everyone gets out of this institution. That no one or not everyone goes out and participates in the economy. And that's a problem because where to from now? I just become a stat.
I then ask myself, for those students who paid their fees in full,
Yeah.
got their degrees, and are now sitting at home,
Yeah.
and the question maybe they might be asking is, were the university fees worth it? Like, is the amount we pay for university fees worth it?
No. It's not. Because I can tell you a 3-year degree is a quantum. It's 5 plus minus 450K.
Yeah.
With accommodation included.
Surely.
We're not counting allowance, we're not counting food.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-year degree. So then as much as we can make it sound like it's a university issue, it's also a country issue, it's a global issue. Because the minute I do an academic degree that needs me to come back for honors, I have sort of now qualified for the workspace, but not really.
Yeah.
You know, there's grades and all of that and jobs, and you sort of need to have this.
Yes.
And
Then there's
so
internships.
there's
and
internships and there's
programs.
graduate programs and all of that. But most of them now require honors. Having an academic degree doesn't guarantee.
Yes.
And that's 450,000
Okay,
rands
down the drain.
for something that can't get you a simple job.
Yeah.
And then we wonder is it just really the university or it's a global system issue? And you then wonder and you look at how, I guess, my white counterparts and versus my black counterparts do this thing. My white counterparts have a situation where they just do their degree. They go in, uncle owns as a CEO, whatever, owns the business. They get in a lousy admin job, eventually escalates, go up the ladder. But then my black person is required to have honors, masters, and so much more. And they still probably earn less than my white counterparts. Then it's a system issue at a global level. And university is just a
Microcosm of that.
It's just it's an illustration of the greater world and the issues we then face.
Yeah.
So I think, that's the situation.
Can I ask you a curious question? Having been in the space, who do you think owns the institutions of higher learning? Obviously, it's not the government.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
It's not the government. They're apparently public.
Yes, they're a public entity on paper. Yeah.
But if I pay 450, is it public?
And I'm a taxpayer. And I'm a taxpayer's son or daughter.
And I'm like, it's wild. Because if we argue that the taxpayer's money contributes a certain amount into the university. So how am I paying the same as someone that can't even afford tax?
Interesting.
It's very wild. But universities are public enterprises.
Yes.
On paper.
Yes.
But like any other organization, there's an administrative body.
Yeah.
And there's funders there's, I guess, shareholders, stakeholders. They call them stakeholders. But they're actually shareholders.
Isn't it also they have a board of trustees?
Yes. And for example, I think what frustrates me most of the time with the University of the Witwatersrand particularly is that a small thing like naming School of Accounting under a person's money. Yes. So, for example, if Kagano decides that, actually, I think I want to donate money, but they must name business school under me.
Oh, yes.
And then Kagano pays for it to be called Kagano's business school.
Indeed.
You know, of the Witwatersrand or whatever.
Yeah.
So, so there's all these issues at the core that say funding and money influences and is power.
Yeah.
if I fund 70%
Yes.
of the university's functioning costs, I guess, or productive costs and organizational costs,
Yes.
then I should have a say in policies and how happened. And like I said, it's a micro situation of society.
Because he who pays the piper plays the tune. Interesting.
So even in government, if I want a situation to happen a certain way,
Yeah.
sort of need to take out some money. I sort of need to have an influence or be in a position of power. And that means, is the government really in charge?
Yeah.
Because, which is something I learned in the space, was
Yes.
that universities are actually autonomous in structure.
They have to be. For freedom of thought, expression, etc.
Yes. So they're autonomous in structure in the sense that Wits can make the decision that anyone that owes less than 10,000 rands can register. But if you owe more, you can't. But it's a public institution.
Ooh.
So to what extent does the government have control, influence? So then do we still call it a public institution if it's autonomous in its functioning? Because the idea of public institution or public organization is that the government is the center of control.
Yes. Yes.
The government would then deploy a committee to be the ones that decide on what happens where in the university, policies and all of that. And if the government is trying to match a situation of inequality and bring the scale a bit up, and then there's a situation where the university says, no. If you owe, you can come.
Yo.
You know, because when you think about it, issues of public entities
Yes.
sort of make the same decisions. Like the
Yes.
goal is always the same. The
Yeah,
direction is the same. We are going the same way.
They follow the National Development Plan, for example.
Yes. They follow a BEE issue.
Yes.
But that doesn't count in universities. It doesn't exist. It's autonomous. They make their own decisions. So to what extent is it a public institution if the decisions are made by a committee?
So apparently they have to account to Parliament, right? And in the recent past, while doing my work on the side, I'd have the Parliamentary Commission, is it committee?
Yeah.
Parliamentary Committee on Higher Education playing in the background. And the conversations I'd hear when they're being held to account is, for me, the level of arrogance or entitlement to which some of the institutions claim, hold of these institutions. And the students come and say, look, these are the matters. We're being intimidated by administration, for example. We raise issues, even around, cases of sexual violence towards students, and those matters are not addressed as per the policy. Some institutions couldn't even produce the fact that they had a policy on sexual things being done to students. So I'm then wondering, when we then say these institutions must account to Parliament, but at the same time they don't align with the national plans or the national development plans, whatever the case that may be. Why do we then give them so much power? Because there must be some mastermind in the background doing this deliberately. There's no way.
The first question is, who accounts from the university? That's the Vice Chancellor.
Yes.
The Vice Chancellor is an employee.
Yeah.
So you are making an employee account for doing what they are told.
Sure. That's where the problem
That's where the problem is. The actual people that orchestrate these issues are not the ones accounting. An employee accounts. Think about inviting you in your workplace to come and explain why a certain decision was made. Even if you are against it, you must account for it because you're 1% of the vote in Senate. So is it really accounting if it's just the Vice Chancellor? Why isn't the Board of Trustees called to account?
They are almost ghosts because we don't even know who they are. I mean, I've been at the university for 4 or 5 years. I've not met.
Who do you know? The Vice Chancellor and the Chancellor.
That's the only person I know.
And the administrative body.
Yeah.
And those are employees.
And then they try to address this thing. They say, no, we're transformative. We're going to make our Vice Chancellor black female. Some universities have done that before. And they say, as part of the transformation agenda, we're going to make them black and female. And then the same issues still persist. And then I'm like, okay, what did the transformation do? Like this whole thing.
Do they give that Vice Chancellor the power? or it's just a front? Are we ticking boxes of policies of the country? Are we saying, oh, we are pushing a PE approach?
Yes.
Let's have more black people. But do they actually have the decision making? Can the vice chancellor move, black and female? Can they move on a decision? And if they move against what you said, then a mamukhetsi situation possibly happens.
Indeed.
Then you wonder. So I think of it as a play situation, like a puppet situation where there's someone in the background that says, go do this, go say this, like that moves people around.
Yes.
And in doing that, then even when we go protest, it's very interesting that even when we go protest, we go to the very same person that is employed.
Oh, to apply.
Like we literally go to the vice chancellor to say, no, hey, students must register. We know the university has money in reserves.
Yes.
That money must come out. And so forth. Those
Endowment
are issues.
Funds,
yes. Oh, there's budgets that are, what do they call them actually? There's budgets that are like on the side for in case of emergencies. For example, there was a fuel budget adverts last year for load shedding.
Oh.
We didn't have load shedding. Where did that money go?
That is a good question.
It's put back in the system to say we reallocate it, we continuously reallocate it. But it doesn't mean that there's never money coming in.
There's always money coming in, yeah.
So it's very tricky. It's a very tricky situation. It's complex because,
So then somebody's going to fight you on this one and say, why don't these students who seem disadvantaged, why don't they explore entrepreneurship? Now, hear me out. Yes, the university degree can't get them a basic job. They've fought their way through university, protesting every year for, inclusion into the system. And then they leave the system and then they're not employed. And maybe to some extent, employers argue they're not employable because apparently Gen Zs are problematic. Okay, fine. What do you say to that argument? Say now, let them start businesses.
With what money?
Yeah, that is a good question.
To start a business, you need capital. Who owns the capital in the country?
Our friends. Yeah.
So where am I going to start the business? With what? I could hardly get through university. You're going to say, no, sell tomatoes, they need money. For me to go to the market,
yes,
I need the money. And I don't have it. I can barely survive. I'm surviving on the 350 from the government.
Yeah, now that I'm officially unemployed. Yeah.
And even if I choose to sacrifice that, what am I going to eat?
No, it's really a catch-22 then in that regard. So in this whole space, maybe coming back to the church, because that's where we kind of started the conversation. I can see that to some extent, okay, I'm proud of my STASM because to some extent we've started seeing the issue and we've started trying to tackle it in maybe a way of saying, look, we should have our own funds for in case situations happen to, students that come through our organization and they need funding for maybe just registering in the beginning of the year, things like that. So what else can we do as the church on the campus and the wider church?
Yeah. I think I'll start with the wider church.
Yeah.
It's sort of a complex issue because we can't ignore the fact that the church is functioning on tithes and offering.
Of course.
And if a kahana is not loyal, how are we then expecting the church to assist?
Okay.
Because when people start making money, they are not as consistent and as committed.
Especially in South Africa, they disappear, bro.
Yeah, so then it becomes a situation where we wonder, even as STASM, as an alumni, yes, you come back and you give. But how effective is that? Because there's only so much you can give. But what I would like to implore, I guess, Christians or my fellow Adventist people is to do this. If there's job opportunities at your workplace, don't gatekeep. We are queens of gatekeeping because we want to be the only ones that look good, that want to, you understand?
Yeah.
So if you know that there's a bursary, let it be an announcement at church to the youth to say, oh, there's a bursary that is taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
at my workplace. There's a job opportunity at my workplace to the young people I work at. So there's this and this. That's another way of helping, because clearly we're not honest with our tithe. And what that does is that it builds a culture to say everyone else that is Adventist and gets into a workplace
Yes.
has to make sure that they give back by providing the same information, regardless of how you got it.
Yeah.
So we must just not gatekeep. Because if I was to ask Kakano, where do you work now? Hey, it's some company there in Santon. Hey, it's quite tricky. I don't know. Hey, it was God's grace, miracle, magic.
Yeah. God,
It's
God
magic.
did the
As if you
things.
didn't apply. As if you didn't get a link where you filled it form. You actually practiced for an interview and all of that.
Yes.
So it's magic. That's where it brings it back to what I said. That we act, we behave like God moves like magic.
Yes.
And it's superstitious and it doesn't make sense. Whereas there's actually a system that you followed and a proper procedure.
Indeed.
So my Adventist people in the church, in the Adventist community, don't gatekeep, even to students, don't gatekeep your bursaries. There's enough space for all of us.
True.
Getting a bursary when you already have it doesn't mean they're going to cut you.
Not true.
Me getting a job because you already work there doesn't mean they're going to remove me for you.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be besties at work just because we're Adventist.
No.
Maybe that's another issue that they're afraid of, that they're not going to be their real selves.
Yes.
Then it's an issue of, are we really what we present ourselves to be on Sabbath?
Interesting.
In the real life?
Yeah.
Are we running away from people seeing how we behave in the workplace, at school, in our private spaces? Because that's where they don't see us. Do you want to keep up a certain image? And at that expense, I'm going to protect my workplace with everything possible.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a Kakano coming to where I work and finding out that I am so mean.
Yeah.
I am really just a mean girl. I'm a boss lady and everyone is scared of me, or I gossip, or whatever the case is. So the only way Kakano will not know that is if he doesn't come in. So it's just a plea. Whatever opportunity you hear doesn't take anything from you.
Yeah.
If they were going to fire you, they were going to fire you. It's not because I came in.
Yeah.
So give out this information to everyone you can meet. That is also at the core of social and Ubuntu as a black people.
Indeed.
That's what you do. When you go up, you lift others with you.
Indeed.
So even in our communities, they do the same thing. If I work at a firm and I know I come back and tell that young boy, hey, but they are hiring there. Come, bring your CV. Let's see. Let me submit it for you. So why does it then change when you get into spaces of church and spirituality and all of that? Because in our communities, I'm able to reach out to that boy at the corner and say they're actually hiring.
Yes.
So then just reach out, give out the information. After all, we're all God's people. We're trying to make it out alive. So that's one of the ways, because then we clearly know that Bokachano have a commitment issues with their tithe.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to fund academics.
Things like these,
So let's just open the
And
opportunities.
the church conferences have issues with managing of the funds
Yes,
as well. So
yes.
it's a wider problem. Tell me about this rise now where, okay, I think South African students have kind of checked the situation. They kind of see what's happening. And most, if not all, young people are in some way, shape, or form entering an influencer marketing space. Whether that be through podcasting, through, lifestyle vlogs of themselves. Study content is rife these days. Study with me on a TikTok live, things like those. Do you think students can see that, the government and the private sector are not coming to save us? So let's start our own things. And how far do you think those things can work if intentionally done?
Ooh, okay, there's with influencing or social media, it's a very tricky space.
Tough.
I don't want to say it's a chance or it's a luck thing. But from what I've noticed, particularly with TikTok's algorithm and all of that, you'll post one video and it blows up.
Yeah.
And it's tricky because you never know when and what will blow up, even for your content.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's also sustainable because we are all sort of waiting for the big break of blowing up. But if you're there's no trick. It's not technical.
Yeah.
It's that's why I think it's a chance issue, because with TikTok, you post a video consistently and one of the videos blow up, and then it sort of draws attention to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't post, nothing blows up, obviously.
Yes.
Sometimes you post and nothing still blows up.
Yeah.
And you then question, you understand? But I think it gets even trickier as a Christian
Yes.
to participate in content creation. Because what sells and what you believe
Yeah, it's tough.
doesn't match.
Yeah.
Study TikToks, yes, but what happens when you graduate? Yeah, I graduated and then sort of have to transition to a lifestyle.
Yes.
But the lifestyle you live and what is selling is not the same.
Yeah.
So then we ask a question of sustainability to say, yes, the youth is seeing that there's sort of money in the private sector, influencing
Yes.
and gigs and all of that. But as a Christian, to what extent can you influence?
Be involved. Yeah.
And then it's a question of how our Christian people going to then navigate the social influencing space without being consumed by it.
Which is the same with politics.
That's the idea.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with brands, what sells is your personality, your character, and the type of person you like. Who like Kagano sells.
Yes.
Not really what Kagano does as content. It's who Kagano is. And people then miss it because they think it's because Kagano probably goes to groove, Kagano probably wears wigs, but it's a person. Brands fall in love with what aligns to them.
Yes.
And Christianity doesn't sort of align with a lot of brands, like
Indeed.
Christian characters, because we are humble, meek, and I don't know,
Yes.
And it's very tricky. So to answer your question, yes, the youth is seeing a transition towards social media. But for my Christian people, then it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Because you even take small gigs like promotional gigs.
Yes.
It's usually promoting alcohol, brands, and maybe the events. There's parties, and that's on Sabbath and all of that.
Yes.
Then fundamental issues.
Yes. The bigger ones would maybe go for things like, companies, yes, that are legit, and maybe, they'll sometimes ask you to compromise on your faith, at one point or another. And so you are correct that compromise does set in. So let me maybe close off the conversation in this way. There's a question I had written down here, and the question is basically, how do we, as believers, engage on this controversial subject without compromising the ministry of the church? Which is something the church always fights about, to say our mission is to preach Christ and Him crucified. Great. Now, how do we preach social liberation of people, socioeconomic liberation in the space of student politics and things like that without losing the credibility of the ministry or the gospel, as it were? And, I've looked at it and I'm like, they are not mutually exclusive. I've looked at it. I'm like, okay, what did Christ come to preach? Okay, Isaiah says, to set the captives free now, to make the blind see, and to provide what you call relief to those who are under strain. So then I ask myself, if we really preached or messaged the gospel authentically, we wouldn't have tensions between the church and its involvement
in politics,
with student politics or politics in general. And I think I appreciate that we're having this conversation, because there might be a lot of heat, which is fine. Bring the heat. Tell us what you think about this conversation. And Babala has been very gracious in sharing her experience with us here at the Advent Pod SA. And some of the things that we talk about on the Advent Pod SA are uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to find oneself in your space, in your shoes, because you get a lot of these weird comments that are coming from all sides of the spectrum. But I'm really glad you steadfast in what you're doing, and that you have the resilience to continue. And look, to whatever extent it takes you, may the Lord ever stay blessing you. Yeah. Happy with this. Do you want to tell them to subscribe and do the right things?
If you are not subscribed, that's all. Please do subscribe, follow our social media also, and engage. We have membership, so please do join for exclusive content.
Indeed.
And that one is for the brave ones. So if you're brave and you think you can join.
Yeah.
Let's
So exclusive content. Those of you who don't know, we recently did a gospel party. It was a small, intimate thing. We'll do a bigger one later. Don't worry about it. Some of the content from there will be dropping, exclusively. So if you want to hear explosive content that will shift your, mental equilibrium a bit, please watch out for that. Do join in the button below and subscribe. We appreciate you guys, and God bless. We're out.